Hello friends, welcome to EduTap. If you can hear me, if the audio is clear and the video is clear, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Welcome to the 37th lecture of Economics and Social Issues. ESI is an important component for both RBI Grade B as well as NABARD Gr A examination. RBI Grade B examination appears to be just around the corner. So we have to be very well prepared for economics and social issues. As I keep reminding you that this is the 37th lecture of this series. So do watch the previous 36 sessions if you have not already watched those sessions. And do participate very actively in these lectures as well as in our courses because they have been designed for your success. If you can hear me, if the audio is clear and the video is clear, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. There are many students who have already joined in. Let us just wait for a couple of more seconds for other students to participate. In this session in today, what we are going to do is that we are going to sort of throw light upon those parts of the syllabus of economics and social issues which are less visited by students or which are considered to be less important by students, but in my opinion are very important. The thing is that at EduTap we don't leave anything undone. We have to throw light upon each and every aspect of this syllabus, each and every aspect of this examination, because we have to gather marks from each and every aspect and be able to ace this examination. So we don't want to take anything lightly. So let us begin our discussion with today's session. Right? So please subscribe our YouTube channel where we are coming out with a lot of free videos for you, educational videos for your preparation for RBI Grade B as well as NABARD and SEBI and other examinations. Do join our Telegram channel because everything that we are discussing on our YouTube channel, the notes related to that are shared through our Telegram channel. So you should join EduTap's Telegram channel, right? We have launched a good number of courses through which many students have achieved a lot of success in RBI Grade B, NABARD Grade A as well as SEBI Grade A examination. This is the EduTap Hall of Fame. I sincerely wish to see all of you present in this kind of a Hall of Fame kind of a scenario. So do prepare well for this kind of a scenario. Participate in our courses very actively. We have launched courses for RBI Grade B, NABARD Grade A, NABARD Grade B, as well as SEBI Grade A, EPFO, AO, EO examination, and many other courses. So do visit the www.edutap.co.in website. If there is any problem in enrollment, you can call us on 8146207241, and at any point of time, you can speak with any of the faculty members by just dropping a mail on hello@edutap.co.in and saying that you want to speak with so and so faculty, and I can assure you that you will be speaking with that faculty within no time, right? So keep all these things in mind. I give homework questions at the end of every video lecture and I request students to participate in that homework session also. So Rishabh Jain, Durlabh Raghuvanshi, Rakesh Kumar, Nilesh Suryavanshi, Ishita Tripathi, Hed Dave, Lubna Abid, Rama Rao, Deepika Pareva, Aditya Chaudhary, Priya Gairi, Priya Goswami, Neha Tripathi, Kalyani, Abin K, Akhil Sridharan, Kiran Gondwal. I really want to see you in the EduTap Hall of Fame. I really want to see you clear the examinations. You have been answering homework questions consistently. Keep doing that. Consistency is the prerequisite for success in my opinion. Keep the consistent effort going. You all are in the right direction. Keep walking in the right direction. Now, I am placing one question in front of you. The thing is that Indian political system is an important part of economics and social issues, right? And you can expect questions from Indian political system as well. So what I am going to do is that I am going to dedicate certain sessions towards Indian political system, so that the most important things or some important things can be discussed with you, right? So we have discussed the Indian political system part very thoroughly as a part of our course. We provide handouts, videos, quiz, test, everything for every chapter, right? So I'm going to pick up certain important things from those chapters and I'm going to discuss them with you. The first thing that I would like to discuss with you is the parliamentary form of government, right? What is the meaning of parliamentary form of government and so on and so forth, right? So please answer this question over here. Which of the following is/are features of parliamentary form of government in India? Single person as head of state as well as head of government, separation of legislature and the executive, collective responsibility, executive is not responsible to legislature, all of the above. Which of the following is/are features of parliamentary form of government in India is the question that is being asked to you. Right, Priyanka Deora, hello to you too. You are a new student. You have recently started watching videos. Priyanka, keep the consistency going. Answer homework questions, participate very regularly, not only in my live session but other live sessions that are being made for you for your preparation. Do benefit from all of this and join into our courses and prepare in the right direction with the right spirit, with the right attitude. right? So I'm seeing that many students are answering first question as E. And again, I would like to highlight one point over here that I have highlighted in the previous lectures as well, that just because E all of the above option has been presented to you does not mean that it is correct. We have this tendency, we have somehow we have this mental bias that whenever we see E all of the above as a part of the question, we sort of believe, automatically we start believing that yes, E all of the above has to be the right answer over here. I'm not saying that all of the above is not the answer over here or all of the above is the answer over here. I'm not saying that, but I know that this mental bias exists and therefore I am warning you that please be very careful. अगर आपको मालूम है श्योरली 101% कि all of the above is the right answer, then mark all of the above as the right answer. Otherwise, don't go in with this kind of a mental bias. I see Priya Gairi, Naveen Ray, Chinmoy Saikia, Deepika Pareva, Newly Nayak, as well as Bishal Gupta marking answer as 1E. Nilesh Suryavanshi and Rishabh Jain has said that the answer is 1B. Now, what I have for sure understood is that not many students are comfortable with this topic of Indian political system. That is something that I'm extremely confident about. Looking at the answers that I have received, I am again reiterating a couple of basic things regarding our examinations in front of you because it is my duty. First of all, there is something called as negative marking. So if we don't know, we don't want to answer. We don't want to do that. So if you don't know the answer to this question, please retract your answer, whether it is A, B, C, D or E. If you are not sure, please retract your answer. We are talking about a parliamentary form of government in India. कौन सा फीचर है, राइट, आपको ये बताना है. सिंगल पर्सन एज हेड ऑफ स्टेट, सेपरेशन ऑफ लेजिस्लेचर एंड एग्जीक्यूटिव, कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, एग्जीक्यूटिव नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू लेजिस्लेचर, all of the above. Kalmesh has given answer as D. Saloni Srivastava has given answer as B. Now let us take this discussion ahead. You may retract your answers if you like, right? Now what is the parliamentary form of government and what is the presidential form of government, right? Read the right hand side first and then read the left hand side. So in the presidential form of government, there is a single person as head of state as well as head of government. So the best example of presidential form of government is United States of America, right? And you may say that the best example of parliamentary form of government is, let us say, the Indian form of government. Okay. Now in India, there is not a single person who is head of state as well as head of government, right? That is something which happens in United States of America, where the president of America is head of state as well as head of the government. In India, head of state is the president of India, right? Who is the nominal head. Okay. नॉमिनल अथॉरिटी, सिर्फ नाम की अथॉरिटी है. नो रियल पावर इज देयर विद द प्रेसिडेंट, थोड़ा बहुत पावर है बट नॉमिनल अथॉरिटी है. एंड देन देयर इज अ प्राइम मिनिस्टर हु इज द हेड ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. सो इन पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट वी आर हैविंग टू डिफरेंट पोस्ट्स. वन इज अ हेड ऑफ स्टेट एंड वन इज head of government. So head of state is the president, head of government is the prime minister. That is what you need to keep in mind. Whereas in presidential form of government, you are having single person, that is one person being head of state as well as head of government, right? So in India, we are having a parliamentary form of government in which we have a president who is having some kind of nominal authority, and we are having prime minister who is the head of the government who is having the real authority. Whereas in case of presidential form of government, both these things are fused together. I hope that the first point is clear. Second point, in presidential form of government, there is a separation of legislature and the executive. What is the meaning of legislature? Legislature is nothing but a body of lawmakers, as simple as that, right? जो कानून बनाते हैं lawmakers, उनकी body is equals to legislature. ठीक है. And what is executive? Executive यानी कि जो वो कानून को implement करते हैं, right? जो policies बनाते हैं, these are executive. For example, your council of ministers, your ministers, right? They are a part of the executive, right? They take care of the day-to-day functioning of the government, right? Now in presidential form of government, like in America, there is a strict separation between legislature and executive, that the legislature is different, the executive is different, right? Whereas in India, the executive is derived from the legislature. What is the meaning of this? That the executive is derived from the legislature, right? So let us say that Prime Minister Modi, right, is also a part of the legislature, but he is also a part of the executive, right? Similarly, all ministers, they are a part of the executive, obviously, right? But they are also a part of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, right? That means that they are also a part of the legislature. Yani ki in parliamentary form of government, your executive is derived from legislature in the sense that you have to be a member of the legislature. You have to be a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, right? And you can then be chosen to be a part of the executive. There are some exceptions. I'm not going to get into the exceptions right now, right? But mota moti baat is that there is a strict separation between legislature and executive in presidential form of government, where members of executive are not members of legislature. On the other hand, in parliamentary form of government, members of executive are derived from the legislature itself. So you have to be a member of Lok Sabha / Rajya Sabha, right? And then you can be made a part of the executive. That means that you can be made a minister. Keep this in mind. Third thing, executive is not responsible to legislature in presidential form of government. What is the meaning of this? It means that, let us say that within the legislature there are lawmakers, right? In India, let us talk about India first. In India, executive is responsible to the legislature. What is the meaning of this? That there is a Lok Sabha, so there are various sessions of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha happening. So parliament convenes, parliament comes together, all members of parliament come together, and they can ask ministers questions, and ministers have to answer questions on the floor of the house. For example, this time we did not, sort of for various reasons, we decided that we don't want to conduct winter session of the parliament. We can conduct elections, protests can happen, cricket matches can happen, exams can happen, but for various reasons we decided that winter session of the parliament will not happen, right? Had the winter session of parliament happened, right, all the legislature, all the lawmakers, all the MPs would have gotten together in Lok Sabha, and they would have asked questions to the government, maybe regarding coronavirus pandemic situation, or maybe regarding the farmer protest. So the point is that the executive is responsible to the legislature in the sense that the executive is answerable to the legislature, and if legislature is not having majority in the executive, right, or legislature is not having confidence in the executive can be removed from the office by the legislature. Even that can be done. So the idea is that in presidential form of government, executive, that means your government, that means let us say your president, is not responsible to the legislature. On the other hand, in parliamentary form of government, your prime minister's council of ministers who make up the executive, they are responsible to the legislature, they are answerable to the legislature, and they can be removed by the legislature, right? In presidential form of government, there is strict adherence to doctrine of separation of powers, that there are three different wings, let us say executive, legislature and judiciary, and there is strict separation of power within these three organizations. On the other hand, there is some kind of an interlinkage between these three organizations in parliamentary form of government, right? In parliamentary form of government, there is collective responsibility. What is the meaning of collective responsibility? That if any decision is taken by the executive, all ministers who are part of the executive have to defend that decision in public, in parliament, in various forums, right? So everybody together is collectively responsible for any and every decision that is taken by the government, right? In your parliamentary form of government, there is a sound and effective opposition, whereas in presidential form of government, right, president can be removed by a process of impeachment. President cannot dissolve the legislature. These are some of the important points. Now we have to have a detailed discussion regarding some of these points. If there are any doubts, you can ask me, but these are the points that you have to keep in mind. और कुछ नहीं है तो एटलीस्ट आपको ये पॉइंट्स मालूम होने चाहिए, जितना मैंने आपको समझाया एटलीस्ट उतना आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. नाउ बेस्ड अपॉन दिस यू लुक एट दिस क्वेश्चन अगेन, राइट? Which of the following / are features of parliamentary form of government in India? एटलीस्ट आपको इतना मालूम होना चाहिए कि वी डू नॉट हैव अ सिंगल पर्सन हु इज हेड ऑफ स्टेट एज वेल एज हेड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. व्हाई? बिकॉज देयर इज अ प्रेसिडेंट एंड देयर इज अ प्राइम मिनिस्टर. सो देयर आर टू डिफरेंट पर्सन्स, वन इज हेड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, वन इज हेड ऑफ स्टेट. We do not have separation of legislature and the executive. That is completely and patently wrong, because the executive is derived from the legislature. Executive is not responsible to legislature. galat hai, right? Why it is wrong? Because as I explained to you that the executive is accountable, is answerable to the legislature. Whatever money that the executive is spending, whatever money that the government is spending via budget, that budget needs to be approved by the legislature. If the legislature is able to remove the executive from office, legislature can remove the executive from the office, legislature can ask questions from the executive and get answers, right? So saying that executive is not responsible to legislature is absolutely incorrect. So what is the right answer over here? The right answer to this question is C, collective responsibility. And I saw earlier that almost everybody was saying that the answer should be E, and many good students were saying that the answer should be D. that is completely wrong. And the answer to this question is what Kalmesh had said, that the answer should be D. Right? Nilesh Suryavanshi, Happy New Year. Ishita Tripathi, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you. Right? So guys, please be very careful in the examination. If you have learned something, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. If you have not read Indian political system ka chapter, www.courses.edutap.co.in, each and every aspect of economics and social issues, whether it is static, whether it is current, everything is covered by us in detail, which is why many of our students are able to clear examinations with good marks, right? So please keep this in mind. If you have understood, answer to this question is C, that is collective responsibility. Please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. अगर कोई भी doubt है तो आप please बताइए. चिन्मय साइकिया, न्यूली नायक, नुसरत अफजल, Ishita Tripathi, Priyanka Devara, Robin Hazari, I am requesting all of you to please make some comments in the comment section so that I am able to understand that आपको समझ में आ गया है. Now I am placing another question in front of you, right? Which of the following is not considered to be a unitary feature of the Indian Constitution? I have picked up very basic topics, very fundamental topics. Though we have covered many other things in detail as a part of the course, but I have picked up very fundamental issues, right, to discuss with you. Because अगर ये प्रकार के questions आते, then I want you to be able to get them right in the examination at any cost. Which of the following is not considered to be a unitary feature of the Indian Constitution? Not, right? Not. Integrated judicial system, all India services, appointment of governors of states by the union, division of powers between the union and the states by the constitution itself, residuary powers vested in the union. Which of the following is not considered to be a unitary feature of the Indian Constitution? Right? Ratandeep Swami, you are saying that you really like my class on ESI. I am very happy to hear that. Ratandeep, I am also equally honored to be teaching you all. It is a privilege, it is a pleasure, and it is something that I really look forward to having these kind of sessions with all of you. Right? If you all are enjoying these sessions, please be kind enough to like and share these sessions. जो भी आपका एक बहुत ही अच्छा दोस्त है, tell him or her about EduTap, and that EduTap is doing some work in RBI, SEBI and NABARD examinations, and if they are interested, then they can enroll into EduTap. Please help spread the word. Right? Now give me answer to the second question. Right? Robin Hazari is saying that the second question ka answer is D. Nusrat is saying that it is B. Ishita Tripathi, Baliram Kumar is saying it is D. Deepika Pareva is saying that the answer should be D. Right? Let us wait for some more answers. We are discussing unitary features and federal features of the Indian Constitution. Now let me explain some background to you. See, when the Indian Constitution was being made, right? So the idea is that what is the Constitution? Fundamentally, it is the rule book, right? Constitution is the rule book, right? And we are all the players, right? All state governments are players, all local governments are players, all citizens are players, the national union government is a player. So all players have to follow the rules laid down in the rule book. And what is the rule book? Rule book is the Constitution. So executive has to play by the rule book, legislature has to play by the rule book, judiciary has to play by the rule book. Everybody in India has to respect the rule book, and we have to obey the rules. And what are the rules? They are written in the Constitution of India. Now when the Constitution of India was being written, let us say 1947 it was being written. I know it is not correct, but let us say it in 1947 when it was being written, right? So at that point of time, what was the status or nature of our country? The fact of the matter remains that India is a highly diverse country with many different languages, many different religions, many regional challenges, a lot of diversity, right? So how to keep the country together? How to keep the country united? Right? How do we do that? And obviously we had seen that Pakistan was created and then India was born. So the idea is that we did not want any further fissures in the in India. We wanted the territorial integrity of our country to be maintained. We did not want country to be partitioned on any line whatsoever ever again. We never wanted that, right? Once ek baar ho gaya, but not again, right? So we have to keep the country together. When you want to keep the country together, now just imagine, okay, just imagine a very big family, okay, in a very big family, let us say 28, 29, 30 members are there, belonging to different generations, having different strengths and weaknesses, having different tastes and likes and dislikes and everything. How do we keep this kind of a family together? Like, you know, how do we keep them together, let us say into some kind of a joint family? How do we do that? So you have to have a strong central authority who can keep all the members together, apart from the fact that even members want to remain together, right? So having a strong central authority will be helpful in this kind of a scenario, right? Now in a country like India, which is so diverse, which is so different, like, you know, north is so different from east, is so different from west, is so different from south. How do we keep a country together? By having certain unitary features in the constitution, by having certain features in the constitution which makes the center powerful, having certain features in the constitution which makes union powerful. That is the meaning of unitary features of Indian constitution. These are those features of the Indian constitution which makes center more powerful than states. And why we wanted the center to be more powerful than the states, ये मैंने अभी आपको सब समझाया रामायण कि जब मैंने आपको बताया कि हमारे कंट्री के अंदर कितनी डाइवर्सिटी है, कितने सारे अलग अलग प्रकार के लोग साथ में रहने लग रहे हैं. So these are all the unitary features of the Indian constitution. We have only a single citizenship का concept. अमेरिका के अंदर there is dual citizenship कि I am citizen of Maharashtra and I am also citizen of India. ऐसा सब इंडिया के अंदर नहीं है, right? We have only single citizenship, that is citizenship of India. There is no concept of citizenship of Mizoram and citizenship of Gujarat. There is no concept of subnationalism. अगर वो है तो at least we have not legitimized subnationalism by granting different citizenship by the by state wise, right? We have not done that. So there is only single citizenship, that you are citizen of India. There is only single constitution, right? There are countries in which states have their own constitution. We do not have that. We do not want that. There is only single constitution. There is only one rule book for the entire country, so that there is absolutely no room for any kind of interpretations. Power of the union to legislate on matters included in the state list under specific circumstances. So union government has the powers to legislate or to make laws on matters mentioned in the state list also, right? So what we have done is that we have bifurcated various powers into union list, concurrent list and state list. Union government has the power that it can make laws even in areas in which state has the power. So that means that union is more powerful. That is the entire idea of unitary feature, that union is more powerful. Emergency provisions have been put into place, and when emergency is proclaimed, union becomes all powerful. Union government, that is the central government, can change the name and boundaries of the state. That means that the parliament can change the name and boundaries of the state. State cannot do anything about it. State cannot do much about it. There is integrated judicial system, that is there is single judiciary system, in the sense that there is a single chain from, let us say, lower courts, district courts, high court, supreme court. We have a single chain running through the entire country. It is not as if that, you know, Maharashtra के अंदर there is one judicial system and Gujarat के अंदर there is one judicial system. Nah, we have an integrated judicial system for the entire country. We have all India services officers, IAS, IFS, IPS officers who are stationed along the length and breadth of the country. These officers are appointed by the union government. These officers are at the end of the day accountable to the union government. And these officers who are appointed by the union government, accountable to the union government, are playing key roles, are holding key positions in various states. That means that union has some level of control at the level of states through the presence of these kind of officers, which makes union more powerful than states. We are making appointment of governors. So union government appoints governors in various states to ensure that state governments are following the rule book, that is the constitution, that the governance process in the states is being run as per the rule book, that is the constitution. तो ये कौन देख रहा है? Who is monitoring that the states are in the right direction? Governor is watching. And who has appointed the governor? Governor has been appointed by the union. Therefore union is more powerful than the states, and that is why this is a unitary feature of the constitution. There is a single election commission of India which is responsible for holding elections at the national level as well as conducting elections at the state level. तो जो भी आपकी विधानसभा के इलेक्शन हो रहे हैं जिसमें we select MLAs, that is members of legislative assembly, even those elections are conducted by your election commission of India. जो आपकी पंचायती राज और urban local bodies के इलेक्शन हो रहे हैं, they are conducted by your state election commissions, but the विधानसभा election at the state level is also conducted by election commission of India. That shows that this is a unitary features of the constitution. अगर कोई dispute होगा उसका resolution will be done by the union. There is unequal representation of states in the council of states. Council of states means Rajya Sabha. We have Rajya Sabha apart from Lok Sabha at the national level, and in the Rajya Sabha it is not as if that every state has two seats like it is there in, let us say, United States of America on something on similar lines. Over here in India we are having unequal representation of states. That is also considered to be a unitary feature. There is a provision that the governor can reserve a bill or a law passed by state legislature for the consideration of the president. So let us say I am Maharashtra ka Vidhan Sabha, I have passed a law, right? But the governor of Maharashtra can reserve that bill for the president's assent, and until and unless president assents that bill will not become a law. So in my area, in my jurisdiction also, sometimes I may not be able to make the power that I want to make. Why? Because the governor is there to reserve that bill for the president, and until and unless the president agrees, that bill will not become a law in my area, and president will do exactly what the union government will ask the president to do. Therefore union is considered to be more powerful than the states. We are having a flexible constitution to a certain extent, which means that the constitution can be amended, and the biggest joke is that only the union government can amend the constitution. State governments have absolutely zero powers to amend the constitution, right? Which again shows you that union government is much more powerful than the state government. There is a concept of planned development, right? There is a concept of dependence of states on the Center for Economic Assistance. You have to look at these 2 points together. Why? Because union government is collecting the cream of the taxes in the form of corporate taxes are going to the union government, personal income tax is going to the union government, now even the GST is going to the union government, and that is being shared, or that is getting shared by the union government with the state government. So union government is extremely rich. Union government is like my father who is having a lot of money. I am like, the state government who is having a lot of responsibilities, you may say, right? So I am dependent upon my father for a lot of money. So state governments are also dependent upon the union government for a lot of money. Residuary powers are vested in the union. What is the meaning of this? That all the powers and all the fields are divided in union list, state list, and concurrent list. Let us say some new field emerges. Let us say artificial intelligence, for that matter, is a new field. So any residuary power, any field which has already not been mentioned in union list, state list, and concurrent list, right? That power will automatically be with the union government. These are some of the federal features of Indian Constitution. What is the meaning of federal features? Federal features meaning respecting the autonomy of state, respecting the position of state, empowering the state. Those kind of features which make the states feel secure, right? Those kind of features are federal. Federal features give states some kind of an assurance that their existence will be continuing, that their existence will not be disturbed. So for example, supremacy of the constitution is considered to be a federal feature. Why? Because through the constitution, states have been given an equal position, at least on paper, vis-a-vis the union. States are not subordinate to union, at least on paper, and therefore supremacy of the constitution will help safeguard states' position, and that is why it is considered to be a federal feature of the Indian Constitution. We have clearly divided powers between union and states, so that we know that this is union's area of responsibility, this is state's area of responsibility. So by that logic, states are assured that they have certain powers, that they are masters in certain fields, and that is going to be very good for their autonomy. There is independent Supreme Court. So we have an integrated Supreme Court, we have an integrated judiciary mechanism, but we also have an independent judiciary mechanism. It is not as if that the Supreme Court is influenced by the union government. Supreme Court is an independent institution, so therefore it can uphold the constitution, so therefore it can uphold the federal features of the constitution, so therefore it is considered to be a federal feature of the Indian Constitution. There is an upper house, that is Rajya Sabha of the parliament, which represents the states in the union. There is a written constitution, so absolutely everything is written down, right, which leaves lesser room for interpretation, which means that the states have certain powers which have been written down, states have certain position which has been written down, then there is no confusion about that. And we are also having a rigid constitution to a certain extent, which means that not every part of the constitution can be easily amended by the union. I told you that union government has the powers to amend the constitution, but that doesn't mean that it can amend about anything and everything within the constitution. There are certain features within the constitution which cannot be amended quite easily, right? And that makes constitution a little rigid. Particularly federal features of the Indian constitution cannot be easily amended at all, and that is why we say that the constitution is a little rigid, which is considered to be a federal feature of the Indian constitution. Now, based upon this entire explanation, I am going to place this question again in front of you, and you have to tell me that which of the following is not considered to be a unitary feature of the Indian constitution: integrated judicial system, all India services, appointment of governors of states by the union, division of powers between the union and states by the constitution itself, residuary powers vested in the union. I request all of you to please be kind enough to answer this question. Priya, Chinmoy, Naveen, Nilesh, Kalmesh, Nusrat, everybody participating in these sessions, please take these sessions very seriously and answer this question. The right answer to this question is D. Division of powers between the union and states by the constitution itself is not considered to be a unitary feature because it is considered to be a federal feature. Integrated judicial system, all India services, appointment of governors of states by the union, residuary powers vested in the union, these are all features which are making the center or the union more powerful, whereas D, that is division of powers between union and states by the constitution itself, is considered to be a federal feature of the Indian constitution. Shreya Shivastav, Ujjwal, right? I request you to participate actively in these sessions and answer homework questions. Moving ahead. Now I am going to place 5 questions in front of you. Now this is not going to be very difficult, but it is going to be equally enlightening for all of us, right? You have to answer these 5 simple questions. Fundamental rights in the Constitution of India is considered to be a feature borrowed from which source? Right? So the idea is that when India sat down to write its constitution, so we were not the first magicians or the first thinkers to write the constitution. There were many before us who had written their constitutions. There were many nations before us who had written their constitution. So when we sat down to write our constitution, right, we sat down with constitutions of many countries, right? So we sat down with the constitution of US, UK, Japan, USSR, France, right, so on and so, Germany, Canada, Australia. We sat down with all these constitutions, British Constitution, Government of India Act 1935. So we sat down with all these rule books, right? Because at the end of the day, these constitutions were already functional constitutions. These constitutions were already functioning in one country or the other. So when we wanted to make a constitution for ourselves, we picked certain best features out of these great constitutions which were already written at that point of time and were already functioning at that point of time. So the idea is that you need to now tell me that fundamental rights, which is a feature of the Constitution of India, right, it has been borrowed from which constitution, or it has been borrowed from which source? A pretty simple question, but a question that you should know the answer to, right? So Aniket, you are saying that the answer is France. Sakshi, Shrey, as well as Tabassum Ansari, you are saying that the answer is USA. Anurag Patil, you are saying, sir, is this relevant for RBI Grade B? If you look at RBI Grade B ka ESI ka syllabus, it is very clearly mentioned that Indian political system is a part of the syllabus. Therefore, covering Indian political system ka basic concepts is extremely crucial, which is why we have covered it as a part of our course, and which is why I am discussing some aspects of it as a part of this live session. Moving ahead to the next question, right? Directive principles of state policy in the Constitution of India is considered to be a borrowed feature from which source or from which constitution? This is the second question that I am asking you. Please give me answer to the second question as well. Ishita Tripathi, आपने skip कर दिया है. Deepika, Naveen, Nilesh, Aniket, Sakshi, Shrey, Tabassum, आप लोग ने आंसर दिया है USA. Please answer the second question also. DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy in the Constitution of India, is considered to be a feature borrowed from which constitution? Please be kind enough to share your answers for the second question. Moving ahead, I'll display the third question over here. Cabinet system in the Constitution of India is considered to be a feature borrowed from which source or which constitution? So like this, I'm going to place 5 questions in front of you. They are all going to be same, and they are going to be pointing you in a very important direction so far as I am concerned, right? That you should know that various features of Indian Constitution has been borrowed from exactly which source, because this is a very straightforward kind of an area from which very easily a good number of questions can be asked. एंड दिस इज समथिंग विच इज रियली रियली फंडामेंटल. तो ये तो हमारे को मालूम होना ही चाहिए. नीलेश सूर्यवंशी has said that the second question का आंसर इज आयरलैंड. राइट ओके. थर्ड क्वेश्चन का भी आंसर आप लोग दे दीजिए. फोर्थ क्वेश्चन इज Federation with a strong center in the Constitution of India is considered to be a feature borrowed from which constitution? This is the fourth question. And the fifth question is ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity in the Constitution of India are considered to be a feature borrowed from which constitution? Right? So these are, you may say, absolutely similar questions, but the key idea behind making these 5 questions was that, but now I would like to tell you that exactly which features have been borrowed from which source. This is the kind of thing that we have to discuss, right? So Naveen, Ray, Aniket, Shreya Srivastav, Deepika Parewa are saying that the second question का answer should be Ireland. Sakshi and Nilesh Suryavanshi are also saying that the second question का answer should be Ireland. Third, fourth और fifth question का भी आप लोग आंसर कमेंट करके बता दीजिए बहुत ही अच्छे से, right? Sakshi, you have said that the answer to some question is Canada. Please नंबर लगा के बताइए आप कौन से क्वेश्चन का आंसर कर रहे हैं, अदरवाइज मुझे नहीं समझ में आएगा कि आप कौन से क्वेश्चन का आंसर कर रहे हैं, right? So these are all the questions. By now, I am sure that everybody has seen these questions and everybody has probably made up their minds that how do they want to answer it, what are the answers, what are the things that they know and what are the things that they don't know. Like for example, Shreya Srivastav has given third question ka answer as Britain. Now let me place the entire table in front of you, which will tell you exactly where we have sourced what from. So from Australia, we have picked up concurrent list, freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse and joint sitting of 2 houses of parliament, right? So these features, concurrent list means the list where both the union government and the state governments are empowered to make laws. Freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse. So this particular feature has been used by the government of India to pass the various farm reform laws or agricultural reform laws in India recently. So this freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse, this idea I think is encapsulated in Article 301 of the Constitution. Please check it out, and that has been picked up from Australian Constitution. Similarly, there is a provision for joint sitting of 2 houses of parliament. That means that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can hold a joint session when members from both the houses will come together. This idea has been picked up from Australian Constitution. From the Canadian Constitution, we have picked up the idea that federation should with a strong center. Now, India is a federation with a strong center in the sense that, like we discussed earlier, that there are a lot of unitary features in the Constitution, but at the same time, there is a federal framework within which we are functioning. So, this idea of federation with a strong center has been picked up from the Canadian Constitution. जो भी रेसिड्यूरी पावर्स हम सेंटर के पास रखते हैं, राइट, दैट फीचर हैज बीन पिक्ड अप फ्रॉम कैनेडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ स्टेट गवर्नर्स बाय द सेंटर हैज बीन पिक्ड अप फ्रॉम कैनेडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड एडवाइजरी jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has also been picked up from the Canadian Constitution. So at least the first 4 points or first 3 points, federation with a strong center, vesting of residuary powers in the center and appointment of state governors by the center, these are important points, and these are important points which are unitary features. They have been picked up from the Canadian Constitution. The idea of directive principles of state policy as well as nomination of members to Rajya Sabha as well as method of election of the president, these 3 points have been picked up from the Irish Constitution. Procedure established by law has been picked up from the Japanese Constitution. Fundamental duties as well as ideals of justice in the preamble have been picked up from the Soviet Constitution. Parliamentary government, rule of law, legislative procedure, single citizenship, cabinet system, prerogative writs, parliamentary privileges as well as bicameralism have been picked up from the British Constitution. From the US Constitution, we have taken the idea of fundamental rights, independence of judiciary, judicial review, impeachment of the president, removal of Supreme Court and High Court, and post of vice president. From the Weimar Constitution of Germany, we have picked up the idea of suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. From the South African Constitution, we have picked up the idea for procedure for amendment in the Indian Constitution. From the French Constitution, we have taken the ideals of republic as well as liberty, equality, and fraternity. From Government of India Act, we have taken federal scheme, office of governor, judiciary, public service commission as well as emergency provision and its administrative details. So these are the various sources from which we have borrowed various different features of the Indian Constitution. It is extremely crucial that you are friendly with this table. If you don't already know this table, you should know this table, right? And based upon this table, now I'm again placing an opportunity in front of you, and please participate very actively. The first question was that fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution, right, is considered to be a feature from which constitution, or it has been borrowed from which constitution, right? Ishita Tripathi, you are saying you don't know anything. Ishita, please do not be bogged down. Please do not get demoralized. This is also a part of your course, a part of your syllabus. You should have some idea about it. And if you have no idea about it, absolutely great. Because idea अभी ही ले लीजिए सारी चीजों का. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि एग्जाम के अंदर हमारे पास आइडिया नहीं है. Please do not be demoralized. I knew that whenever I will transition from economics towards social issues, from let us say more mainstream topics to let us say more marginalized topics, I knew that many students will feel uncomfortable and this question will be asked कि ये सब क्यों पढ़ा रहे हैं, ये सब इसलिए पढ़ा रहे हैं क्योंकि ये सिलेबस का पार्ट है. The answer to this question is US Constitution. The second question that I had asked you was directive principles of state policy in India is considered to be a feature borrowed from which constitution? The answer to this question is Irish Constitution. The third question was cabinet system in the Constitution of India is borrowed from. The answer is British Constitution. The next question was federation with a strong center is considered to be a feature borrowed from. The answer is Canadian Constitution. And the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity. If you have read French Revolution ka history, so you know that liberty, equality and fraternity was the war cry of French Revolution. So the answer to this question is French Constitution. So I have asked 5 questions to you, and I have given the entire detail about sources of the constitution to you in the previous slide. So please be kind enough to go through it, to revise it and go through it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, and I'm sure you'll be very comfortable with it. Now comes the time to discuss the homework that I had presented to you in lecture 25 or for lecture 25. For lecture 25, we had discussed about KV Kamath committee on restructuring of loans because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and KV Kamath committee had given certain important parameters which had to be considered while restructuring the loans. So those parameters were what? Total outside liability divided by adjusted tangible net worth. That was considered to be one parameter. That definition has been placed over here in front of you. The homework was to define these terms: total outside liability divided by adjusted tangible net worth, right? टोटल डेप्ट डिवाइड बाय एबिटा, इसको डिफाइन करिए, राइट? सो इसका डेफिनेशन या इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन ये है कि इट इज एडिशन ऑफ शॉर्ट टर्म एंड लॉन्ग टर्म डेप्ट डिवाइडेड बाय एडिशन ऑफ प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स, इंटरेस्ट एंड फाइनेंस चार्जेस अलॉन्ग विद डिप्रिसिएशन एंड अमोर्टाइजेशन. All this will appear very difficult for you. If you have not seen my lecture 25, please go back in the playlist and see lecture 25. If you have not already seen lecture 25, it is my sincere request. What is current ratio? Current assets divided by current liabilities is current ratio. What is debt service coverage ratio? For the relevant year, addition of net cash accrual along with interest and finance charges divided by addition of current portion of long-term debt with interest and finance charges. That is the meaning of debt service coverage ratio. We have discussed all these things in lecture 25. Average debt service coverage ratio क्या था? This is over the period of the loan, addition of net cash accruals along with interest and finance charges divided by addition of current portion of long-term debt with interest and finance charges. I know it as a matter of fact that these are difficult topics. I know it as a matter of fact that these are technically challenging topics, but these are extremely crucial, extremely important topics. Therefore, it is my request that please go back in time and see lecture 25, see KV Kamath committee का entire discussion. That will be very very helpful for you in these examinations. Revise करते रहिएगा, अच्छे से पढ़ना है आपको. एग्जाम नजदीक आ रहा है, ज्यादा पढ़ना है. जो चीजें हम भूल गए हैं उसको हमारे को रिविजिट करना है. I have placed 5 homework questions in front of you. Easy homework questions, I would say. Dash has been launched by CBIC for paperless processing, uploading of supporting documents to facilitate trading across borders. So which portal has been launched by CBIC आपको बताना है. BEPS का full form आपको बताना है. And questions 3, 4 and 5 are regarding various exchange rate regimes. So question 3 is about independently floating exchange rate regime. Question 4 is crawling pegs exchange rate regime, I'm sorry. And question 5 is about fixed currency exchange rate regime. आपको बताना है ये पांचों questions के answer in the homework session. Now, I know that this session may have appeared to be a little more difficult, a little more challenging and a little more heavy for many aspirants, because हमने Indian political system नहीं पढ़ रखा है, हमने KV Kamath committee को revise नहीं कर रखा है या हमने ये सारी चीज़ों के ऊपर उतना काम नहीं कर रखा है, एंड दैट इज़ फाइन. सी द आइडिया इज दैट प्लीज बी वेरी वेल प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर एग्जामिनेशन, फॉर एवरी एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दिस एग्जामिनेशन, right? So it is not my job to just be a cheerleader and keep asking you simple questions so that you can feel good about me and feel good about your preparation. It is equally my responsibility to ask you certain uncomfortable questions, to take you in areas in which you have not paid much attention or you have not studied well. So Indian political system को छोड़ के नहीं जाना है, पढ़ के जाना है. केवी कामत कमिटी चैलेंजिंग है, पढ़ के जाना है. Keep all these things in mind and please be kind enough to do the homework question that I have just presented to you. Right? Ujjwal, Deepika, Nilesh, Kalmesh, Ishita, Priya Gairi, Nilesh Suryavanshi, Darshan Jain, right? I request Shresh Srivastav, Aniket Lande, I request all of you to please answer homework questions. With this, we'll bring this session to an end. Thank you for your participation. See you around. Thank you very much. All the very best and Jai Hind.